And welcome back to another episode of JP and the Beanstalk.
Oh, goodness.
JP, Beans. And we have one more.
Who do we have here? Who is this?
Well, would you like to introduce yourself?
Go for it.
No,
Introduce him. Introduce him.
Yeah.
It's Thor himself.
Yeah, not Thor.
It really is.
Saul is my name, yep.
Yeah. Love having Saul. He's bringing a good energy in the gym.
I was gonna say,
Here we are.
Love the enthusiasm. That's great. But,
What a highlight this is already.
it's going to be a good one.
Let's wrap it right now.
Gents
30 seconds
and ladies.
in. We're good.
All 13 of you, because 14's right here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. What a special guest star. That's great.
yes.
Might as well have Odinson himself tossing goblets of mead, saying another.
I'm not 21 yet, so.
Wink.
Orange juice then.
Wink,
Right.
wink.
Orange juice.
Dude, you know how bad I've wanted to do that, by the way? Like, I've wanted to just have, like, a huge pint glass of beer, down it within, like, a minute, because, you know, it establishes my manhood right
Sure.
off the bat, and then to just throw it down like that.
What's stopping you? I mean, you're not in Asgard, so that's a tough piece.
Money.
Sure.
Also, if I got a pint glass
Yeah.
of my own,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to break it either.
Oh.
You know
What about a mason jar filled with water?
It wouldn't have the same oomph to it, you know?
Okay.
Also, I can't chug worth a crap.
That's okay. That's okay.
Can't chug
Enjoy.
at all.
Savor. Savor. No need to rush.
Yeah, it didn't work out in college.
No, it's okay. Speaking of not rushing, on a non-comic book related note, my Orioles, they're going to get above 500 tonight. They're currently beating the freaking Cubs, firmly at 500. They're going to get one game above 500. That's going to be the first time that's happened since 2017. This is a big deal in my life.
I was going to
This
ask.
is huge.
I was like, when was the last time that this happened?
See, part of the discussion we're going to have in regards to the Thor movie that we've all seen, some of us multiple times, is expectations, right? And here's the beauty of low expectations. Your favorite team isn't very good, but all of a sudden they start sneaking into that not bad category, and your heart just warms. That's where I am right now. I'm in that sweet spot of every game my Orioles win, it's gravy. Like, I think they've just been so bad for so long. I'm loving it. But I got my O's baseball mug here. Like, allegedly this was made out of a baseball bat. I don't think that's actually the case, but it looks like it was. So, pretty glorious.
It was.
Let's just say that it was.
It was.
Let's just say that it was.
You know what? We could test it.
Get a ball.
Yeah.
Get a ball. You got to cork the bat. See what
Right.
happens.
See what happens.
Yeah. So it's great. It's really great. Let's do this as the little segue side topic.
I
All right.
love these.
Just in honor of our guy Saul, who's guest starring with us. If you could hang out with one celebrity just for a day, just the two of you. It's not like you're not getting swarmed over with paparazzi. Like somehow you've hit the perfect spot where, let's say you're at the same ski resort, right? You bump into each other and you appropriately and calmly introduce yourself, right? You don't lose your mind. You have your stuff together. You're like, hey, Robert Downey Jr. Wow, that's great to see you. Huge fan. And he's just amicable and really open. He's like, thank you. Who are you, right? You strike up a conversation, you have a day together. Who would you spend that day with? Who would that be?
Quick question.
Yep.
Setting up parameters here.
Okay.
Is this
It's important. Set up the rules.
Is this like a bro thing, or is this like, you know, it could turn into a
This
date?
is not romantic.
Okay, then.
No, not
okay.
a date.
I wanted
Good
to establish
question.
that.
Good question. This is
Just wanted to establish
this
that.
is platonic.
Because otherwise,
Yep.
people would have already known my answer.
This is
So
platonic.
my answer changes depending on that.
Yep.
So.
Your answer is Selena Gomez.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. No, this is platonic. Good question. That's a different question, different category. So, Riles, I'm going to put you on the spot. Who would it be?
See, it's a toss-up. It really is a toss-up between two. But
One of them's Ryan Reynolds.
one of them is Ryan Reynolds.
Who's the other one? I thought it was Ryan going away.
You know, and I'm going to have to say it. It's going to be Andy Samberg, I think.
That is a great choice.
I think Andy Samberg and I'm just going to pitch this to Andy right now. I think we'd be great friends. I bet we're very similar people. So, yeah, it'd be Andy Samberg. I feel like we have the same sense of humor.
That's outstanding. That's a really good pick. I'd want to hang out with Hugh Jackman. That'd be incredible.
Yeah.
Just to hear his accent all the time. What a delight that would be. I have just a bunch of Midwestern accents in my life, including my own. I'd like a little variety. And just to be around a seasoned individual, as yoked as he is, just to hear his tales of hoisting weights, incredible.
I didn't
Incredible.
even know he had an accent that wasn't like an American accent until like
Right?
last
It's
year.
flawless.
Yeah,
It's flawless.
it's nuts.
Yeah, that'd be my choice. Saul, who would you pick? Put you on the spot. And
There's
you're not
two-
locked into this.
I
You've
was
got
saying,
flexibility.
okay.
The rules are so loose here.
I would say if there's two answers, one is The Rock. I mean, it's The Rock. Like you gotta like.
Yes.
Dude, The Rock on a
Yes.
cheat day.
Oh my god.
get him on a cheat
I could
day?
keep up. I think I could keep up. And then the other one, which I'm kind of leaning more towards, just because I think The Rock's kind of calculated sometimes. Like you kind of see him, you're like, I don't know if he's being entirely
Fair.
himself right now.
That's fair. Yep.
But-
he can turn it on and off.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jason Momoa is 100%
Yep.
himself all the time.
That dude's a party animal.
He is
That's
a party
great.
animal, and I think I would enjoy his presence, and I'd like to think he would enjoy mine.
Yep. That's a great answer. So Momoa, part of his life was spent, I think, wasn't it in Norwalk, Iowa?
Yeah, he's an
Right?
Iowa guy.
Right.
Him and Brandon Maruth.
Right. So
Rolf.
my aunt and uncle loved to throw that around because there was a time where they lived in that area, and they were both in public education, and so I think, if I recall correctly, they've at least claimed that they had interactions with those two in the public school
That's
system.
nuts.
So there you go.
Hey.
Uncle Max, Aunt Kelly, there's your claim to fame. I'm giving it to you. It's been endorsed.
Just wait until like I become the next Human Torch, and then you can say you the Human Torch
There you go.
or ref
Right.
the Human Torch.
Right.
Yes.
Officiated something.
Told
Yeah.
him to calm down one time.
Call the
'cause
foul
he
on
was
the
getting
Human
too-
Torch. Right.
Yeah.
Said, chill.
He's like,
Cool
"Dude,
it. Cool
you're
it.
going too hard."
Take the flames down.
Yeah.
Flame down, bro. Flame down. Yeah, that's great. Okay, great answers. Well, we got some great topics for today. We've got a Thor movie to discuss. Good, beefy discussion coming up, much like Hemsworth is beefy.
Oh my gosh.
Bless him. Absolute beefcake. Outstanding. Along those lines, I saw Christian Bale, said that he didn't even bother like working out before the movie because he's like, have you seen Chris Hemsworth? He's like, there's no point.
Right,
There's no point in
right.
putting forth the effort. I'm just going to show up. Like, you know what? That's fair.
Yeah,
I get
fair.
that.
Was it him flipping tires? There's some video. I can't remember if it was him or Pratt, but one of them was just flipping tires. Like
Hemsworth, you
nothing.
mean?
I think it was
Yeah,
Hemsworth.
it could have been either one of those.
I think
guys.
it was. I remember seeing that.
Flipping
Yeah.
tires is like he makes it look so easy. That was like it was like a tractor tire.
It's
It
ridiculous.
was a big one.
It's ridiculous. So we'll hit a lot of Thor, all kinds of Thor content, and we'll hit a little top 5 list action towards the end. We're going to discuss our top 5 characters, the portrayals that we've seen so far that we believe individually, hey, they can't be topped. So that'll be a fun topic to hit, and we'll just see where the winds take us. But I think it's time to chat some Thor. So right out of the gate, Saul, you've seen it thrice times.
Yep.
Yep. Twice pre-planned, a third time kind of just happened, right?
Yeah.
It just
Oh,
did.
for sure, yeah.
Way to go. Way to just lean into it. Proud
That's
of you.
great, yeah.
Yeah. Riles, you saw it in Florida.
Yes, I did.
Yep. I saw it in Iowa just the one time. So a wide variety of both quantities and locales. But I think the Florida screening was probably the same as the Iowa screening.
It wasn't much different. I actually
Yeah.
did not have a reclining chair.
Oh,
I've been
no.
spoiled. I've been spoiled. And my dad lied to me because he said they did have reclining chairs.
Darren.
So I'll remember that, Dad.
Never going back to Florida.
I shouldn't have called. Hey, I shouldn't have called you yesterday on your birthday, dude. Quick side note.
Yesterday
as well,
was Darren's birthday?
It was Darren's birthday yesterday.
Happy
Happy
B-Day,
birthday,
man.
Dad. I
Yeah.
know you don't listen to this, but no, this is honestly one of the top 3 reasons I will never move to Florida. Their grass is bad. It is
Sure.
bad. It is like sponge.
Sandy.
It's gross.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Topsoil's not great.
It's not this kind of grass.
No.
You can't beat Iowa grass. All right, I'm done now.
Okay. Florida grass.
Had to point that
Can't
out.
hold up. All right. So, real general, and then we'll get into the deep dive topics. What'd you think, guys? Where you at?
Go ahead.
I was say, I feel like I'm still like undecided. You know,
Undecided.
like, I'm in that. It's like,
Yep.
yeah, that was a good movie, but my expectations of it were unreachable to go into.
Yes.
And so like my disappointments are like, I don't know if these should actually be disappointments, but they are to me.
Yes. They really are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. Riles?
So originally, if you watched my review, thank you. But I said it was a 7, and I'm going to course correct, and I'm going to bring it back to a 6.
Woo.
Because
Coming back. Coming back.
Because I was thinking about Ragnarok. I was
Sure.
like, Ragnarok was like the perfect mix of fun and like it got serious sometimes. He lost an eye. Like things happened in that movie, you know? And this one, it was just, there was no seriousness whatsoever in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, if I wanted to watch a joke movie, I'd watch, like, Ant-Man. Because Ant-Man jokes throughout the
Sure.
entire thing. And
It's to be expected.
and it works
Yep.
for Ant-Man, not for Thor. All right? This is just... And then, I love Christian Bale so much. And he did so good. And he will never get the credit he deserves because this movie did not take itself seriously. And that's a shame to me. So
that's where you're at. You're at the
right,
6.
and it's just, yeah. I don't think I want Taika Waititi directing the next one. I'm at that point, which...
Strong words. We'll come back to that.
And that's nothing against
Maybe
Taika.
start a petition.
I just think Taika needs something different. I think
Yeah.
he'd do better with the Guardians.
There you go. Yeah,
fair.
I'm probably in a most similar place to you, Saul, as far as it was good. Like it was not a bad movie. Like I've seen, and even recently, #Morbius, I've seen bad movies, right?
It's morbid time.
And this wasn't that. It didn't. I had expectations certainly coming into it. And I think part of what I'm struggling with and trying to process is I fell into the classic trap of like you've read the book, right? And then you go see the movie the book is based on. And in my mind, I was so fixated on seeing very specific tones and aspects of characters from the book that when I didn't get that in the movie, I was disappointed. And I think that was just not the best way to approach the movie from a viewer perspective. So I need to see it again. And I think I'll enjoy it more. At the same time, I don't think I'm wrong with my qualms or nits that I'm choosing to pick. Like you said, Riley, it felt imbalanced. It felt so much like a movie that wanted to be a comedy first, and it happens to have Thor in it. So it just was not as cohesive as Ragnarok. And even for me, like there were times where Ragnarok got a little too goofy. But I still enjoyed it very much overall. And to those that say, hey, Ragnarok's one of my like top 2 or 3 Marvel movies, not going to argue with that person. It's like, fair enough. That's your cup of tea. It's a good choice. It's a really good choice. This movie just didn't, and maybe the expectations were just higher because Ragnarok was so objectively good. This just didn't hit that level. So it was enjoyable. It had its moments. But yeah, overall, I feel like I'm still left kind of wanting. Some of that's me, some of that's our guy Taika.
It also feels like it hit the wrong era. Like I watched that movie and I was like, this feels like something that should have been from the 70s or 80s because it's just got some campy vibes and just the way that it was shot. And don't get me wrong, the music choices were actually really good.
Right.
I enjoyed
Right.
the soundtrack, but like
Yep.
at the same time, it's like this definitely just I don't think it fits the era. And I don't know. It feels like a campy Thor movie that you could have seen, in the 80s.
Yep. So let's stay on the good side, right? Let's bring the good news first. What did we really enjoy from this? What did you come away from really feeling good about or enjoying in general? Because I think there are some genuine, tangible positives to draw from this movie. And I'll start. Like I really enjoyed Russell Crowe as Zeus. That was hilarious. For as much as I'm ragging on the imbalance of humor, slightly chubby Russell as Zeus, man, I love it. And Russell's like my guy. Like he's been in so many movies that I grew up with enjoying. Maybe it's not appropriate to say a person grew up with Gladiator. That raises questions. But when I was of age to watch an R-rated movie, my goodness. What an absolute badass. He's so great in that movie, and he has other roles that I've enjoyed him in. Cinderella Man, where he plays Jim Braddock, the boxer, so dang good. That's on my top 30.
I would say I feel like I remember hearing that.
Yeah. He's a killer. He's so good. And so to see him like he's not to the point of fat Thor. Like he's not that beefy or that chunky. But he was a hoot just to see and how he portrayed the character of Zeus. I thought that was perfect for what they were going for, so I really enjoyed that. I got a kick out of that.
Yeah.
Fat Russell was great.
What do you say? He's like, chill out, baby cake, or something like that.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That was great.
Honestly, the character choices, like just casting wise in general, throughout the entire movie,
You bet.
brilliant. Like that was not the issue with this movie at all. Like,
No, nobody was poorly cast or
right, across the board, it was good.
Yes.
Everybody did really well with their characters.
Yep.
Like I loved Jane Foster, Natalie Portman, great. I thought she did good.
Yep.
She kept that nerdy scientist in her, which was great.
Sure. Sure.
You know,
Which is kind of tough to pull off because it's been a while since we've
Right.
seen her in anything. I mean, I know she's in Endgame a little bit, but not in a real memorable way. More of a
just reused.
correct,
too,
more of
yeah.
reused footage. So this is her first crack at the character of Jane Foster since what, The Dark World, right? Because she didn't show
Right.
up in
Like
anything
10
since
years,
then.
yeah.
That's a while.
Yeah.
and then obviously the goats were the best thing ever. I stand by that. Those two were literally and like metaphorically the goats of that entire movie. 10 out of 10. Tooth Gnasher, Tooth Grinder could come back any day of the week.
Great
I will
names
not
for
be
goats.
upset.
Great names
I
for
will
goats.
not be upset. And
Yeah.
they came in right away and they established their dominance within the first 30 seconds. And I was like, yeah, this is good. So, yeah, character. I think that's the most positive thing I can say about this movie. Is character-wise and casting-wise, I was pleased. 10 out of 10. Back to talking about your guy, Russell Crowe. I thought he did a great job at being an arrogant, like...
He's perfect.
He's a beautifully arrogant Zeus, which Zeus is an arrogant ass anyways in everything that he's in. So,
Yeah.
it just worked out really well in that
Yeah.
aspect.
Yeah. What was something you enjoyed, Saul?
A couple things that first came to mind. The goats.
Goats.
It was
You
like one
bet.
of those things where it's like, you ever seen like Family Guy when they're like, they take a joke almost too far.
Yes.
And then it goes too far. And
Yes.
then the more it goes, the funnier it gets. Like that's what the goats were for me. Because there was a time where I was like, I don't know anymore. And then they ran into like the shadow realm. And it was just, you didn't expect it. And it was amazing. And then gore was unreal. And I thought, I liked the horror vibes that they kind of brought in. It was kind of similar to that like multiverse of madness.
Agreed.
Where he was coming out of the shadows, the necro sword. Like it was sweet. And I thought he did really well. And they made him look really creepy, which was
The teeth were awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
Right?
It almost balanced out like the overly comedic factors that were brought in the movie. It's like, okay, well now we have a really strong villain that's kind of attempting to balance it out. So,
Yes. Yeah, he was dark enough to bring some levity to those situations, wasn't he? Because everybody else was so goofy. But
Yeah.
they crushed his look, wouldn't you think?
I still want the tentacles. I still
Okay.
want
Okay.
more of a comic. Honestly, can you imagine him being in there and then his tentacles are just like, floating around a
Just
little bit? I think
coming
it would
to-
have just added to the creepy grossness that he was.
Yeah.
So
It wouldn't have been bad.
no, it would
But
have been
I liked what we got.
fantastic.
I was pretty pleased with what we got.
It was
Yeah.
good. It could have been great.
I feel like the CGI would have almost been like too much though, to a point. Like I feel like already the movie had a lot of like CGI, like green screen stuff, and it's like
Yep.
some of that didn't look amazing in my opinion. And I think the tentacles could have ridden the line of like, they need more time.
Is this an octopus or is this a bad guy?
Right,
Like, what do we
exactly.
got here?
Then you're working
Squid Man.
like
Hey.
Pirates of the Caribbean too, similar. Yeah.
They could have made that work though, because it worked in Pirates. I will stand by it. And he only has like 2, and they're really long.
That's fair.
No.
I'm just a sucker for the comic accuracy.
No.
We had all comic accurate looks in the Phase 4, and that was the one we didn't get comic accurate.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I thought the vibe of Gore was fantastic. That horror aspect where he's just transforming the shadows into his shadow minions. It's like,
Yep.
that's fantastic. That's
Nuts.
really, really great.
Yeah.
So that was really inventive. I really enjoyed, speaking of inventive, and this is something that wasn't from the comics at all, so kudos to our guy Taika, when Jane is wielding Mjolnir and the pieces of Mjolnir, right, split and are able to independently just wreak havoc and do some damage and then reunify.
Yeah.
That was great. That was a really cool, I thought, aspect of Mjolnir kind of repiecing itself together that was unexpected, that I enjoyed.
100%.
That was cool. I'll
Yeah.
give it that.
Dude, the opening scene, by the way, with Thor and the Guardians,
Yeah.
that was terrific.
That was good.
That was terrific. Like, I still don't know what the flip they were fighting. Like, it was like a cross between a chicken Ewok, maybe?
It was like a Muppet, like a puppet. Like,
right.
that's what it looked like.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Straight out of the Muppets. That was incredible. Incredible. And it was like Mad Max-esque. Somehow they sprinkled that in there. That was tremendous.
My favorite part of that whole thing is Star-Lord like quoting him quote for quote on his speech, and he's like,
Into it. Yeah.
because like they act like they hate each other that entire time, but he's over there quoting him word for word. He's like, Thor, we need you, and then we have that whole thing.
It's like secretly jealous of
Right.
Thor. Like,
I tell you what, I didn't expect this, but I wanted more of the Guardians. Like, the little bit we got, I thought I was going to be very much, okay, thank goodness, they're out of the picture. But I could have enjoyed more of them, especially if they had swept in at the end. Like, if they had tied them back in. That was a great dynamic with all of them in Thor. Because they're clearly, like, all just, like, very annoyed with Thor, right?
100%.
Like, good grief, this guy.
Yeah.
Like, just
the
incredible.
loser of the group. Yeah.
The zero.
Yeah.
The zero.
I would have taken that over the ending we got. So that would have been, you know what? That would have been 10 times more feasible than what we got. So we're taking it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, that was great. That action sequence was outstanding. I still love. Okay, did you guys catch how they brought Daryl from those little YouTube videos into the mix? He's the tour guide in New Asgard.
Yeah.
Thor's roommate Daryl. Did you catch that, Riley?
I am relearning about these whole Thor shorts. So
man, look them up on YouTube. They're fantastic.
I've seen one.
Did
of
they
them
both
before.
come out like before Civil War, or was one pre and one post Civil War?
I think one was pre and one was post, because I think it was like an effort to explain, like,
Yes.
this is what Thor's doing.
Right, where
since
is
he's
Thor
not
while
here.
all the other Avengers are like fighting each other? Why don't they
Right.
have Thor on their team?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it didn't. What's funny about that is it didn't really make sense. Like, it did not mesh
No.
at all, because Bruce Banner is in one of them,
Yeah.
and it's like, wait a minute, he just jetted off, away in the end of Age of Ultron, and yet
Yeah.
now he's getting coffee with Thor.
They're like on the phone call with like Iron Man.
Right?
He's like,
Like, send a Raven.
yeah. Iron Man's like, yeah, he's like, I've asked him so many times. And Thor's like, I never got any call or anything.
Electronic mail. No, what is that? That was great. I loved them tying Daryl into it. Having Matt Damon back as Loki, like the dude who's playing Loki in New Asgard, was tremendous. One of the Hemsworth brothers as
Luke
Thor.
Hemsworth, yeah.
Jeez, just absolutely perfect. And then Melissa McCarthy is
That
Hela.
was such a weird addition. but it was
Absolute
great.
was absolute gold.
Yeah.
And then I love that they do this. Like, her husband ends up in every movie that she's in. He's like the stage director.
Oh,
so
really?
he's in it. He's freaking
is
in it.
so
I don't think he
funny.
has a single line, but you can see him off to the side. And, Lindsay and I, so when you're married, you have to watch Melissa McCarthy movies, which is a great problem to have, by the way.
Yeah.
They're actually fantastic. And so I know how to look for her husband now. And so when I saw him, I was like, there he is. There's the
so
guy.
funny.
It was great. It was great. So that was like really well done, really well fleshed out. I did like what they showed us of New Asgard, how it's kind of like rebuilding and growing, and like this is a weird phrase because we don't use it, but like repopulating, right? Like people are having Asgardian babies, right? And they're growing up into kids. That was cool. That was fun to see New Asgard in kind of its growing
Like
stage.
a tourist attraction.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, what was it, Infinity Cones or whatever? I'm like, how are you already going to make a joke about
Oh my
this?
gosh.
This thing ruined half
Right.
the population.
Right.
And you're making it an ice cream shop.
And we're already laughing about it as an ice cream
Right.
shop. Yeah. Yeah. Valkyrie was great. I kind of wish we had more of Valkyrie. And listen, I personally wasn't bothered, but I also didn't think I was getting beat over the head with the wokeness of Valkyrie or whatever. It's like, I feel like they're trying to hint pretty strongly that her gate swings a couple different ways.
Yep.
Which, to me, like, it was more awkward than anything else. It's like when they were fitting in that dialogue with her and the Korg face, it was like, what is this adding? Like, what are we even doing here? It was just
forced.
Yes, very forced.
Yeah.
Very forced.
And it went nowhere.
Correct.
Her part went nowhere.
I know, it was a real bummer because she was great in Ragnarok, like an outstanding character. So it's like, let's flesh her out a little bit more, and just felt like she was in the same spot.
And even like the fact that for the last fight, she's like, I'd come, but I'd probably die, and that won't help anyone. It's like, that seems like a cop-out.
Right.
Like, it just seems like everyone in Asgard wants to be in Valhalla or whatever. And it's like, now
I'd
she's
rather be
just
dead.
like, yeah, but now she's like, I'm going to just sit back and watch you. Like, total change of character from who she was initially.
Yeah. Agreed. That's great. Let's see. I'm trying to think of other positives. I liked the concept of the shadow realm, like that Gore is at his peak of powers. I thought, okay, that's again different concept, not something that necessarily came from the comics, but I was on board with that. And even visually, like it was pretty sweet how almost all the color is pulled out of the palette at that point, but you still have a few things like the Zeus lightning bolt had some color to it. Maybe when Thor activated his sparkly fingers,
Right. And
you see a little blue, yeah. Right. Those were some cool things. Gore was great. Like Christian Bale was really outstanding as Gore. I think where we're going to get into because we're going to segue into the beefs, right?
Yeah.
My biggest beef is just like the lack of overall time that we had, and I don't get how that's a thing. Like I don't get how we're 30 or close to 30 movies deep, fourth solo movie for this character, and we're going, man, we've really only got 2 hours of good content we can show here. It's like, how are you not consistently putting out 2.5 hour long movies with these characters, especially like from an actor's perspective? It's not like Chris Hemsworth has to figure out who Thor is. I know that Thor's having his identity crisis in the movie, but Chris sure seems pretty comfortable in his Thor skin, right? And you've got Christian Bale as Gore. Like, let's have some more of that. That's the only thing that was, or the biggest thing that was so lacking is just the amount of time we got with some of these characters. Like, why are we rushing here? I didn't get that. So with that, let's hear the beefs. That's my primary beef. Riles,
Me,
you.
Can we? I'm stealing the mic here for a second. I'm going to get real in deep. Can we talk about the most confusing ending to a Marvel movie I've ever seen in my entire life? That entire final fight was so confusing and so frustrating. First of all, you could have had the Guardians. Guardians already were using their cameo spot to back you up. And you took Valkyrie out of the fight, fine. You leave female Thor out of the fight for 10 minutes. And then you give kids the powers? Why am I watching a 7-year-old girl fight shadow demons with a bunny? With a bunny rabbit? That doesn't make sense to me. That literally makes zero sense. We didn't get our Beta Ray Bill. We didn't. Which is we kind of were
like King Thor.
That
was my dark horse pick.
We
get old Thor.
Didn't get a third hammer. Okay, it would have made way more sense if Valkyrie. We should have just had Valkyrie there. Okay, should have just had Valkyrie there. And then I'm going to tell you right now, it would have been a 3. This movie would have been a 3. Okay, if they would have fully redeemed Gore. They would have fully redeemed Gore. I would have walked out. I was like, don't do it. I was like, don't you do it. This dude is supposed to be just on a path. And he still semi got redeemed because he brought his daughter back, which, fine, all right. But now Thor has a child. He lost Jane and now has a child who is eternity, essentially. And now those two are fighting wars together. I could have not guessed this ending in a gajillion years. I watched it and I still can't believe that was the ending. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Like how they're leaving the character? Like Thor with the girl?
Like, okay, they were implying that he was going to be a dad
Sure.
throughout this entire movie.
Sure.
So it didn't it surprised me that this is how it happened, because Gore's daughter is nothing in the comics, correct? She just stays dead.
So in the comics, okay, Gore, part of his origin is he has I don't remember if he has a daughter, if he has a son. I want to say he has a son, but he watches like his whole family die. So wife, daughter, or son, whichever one it is. And then once he gets the Necro Sword powers imbued in his person, he recreates like a wife and a son for himself. But I think part of the twisted aspect of it is he's not even fully aware that they are creations of his own. Like, he thinks they're tangible, real people. He doesn't realize that he made them.
It's like an Inception
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah.
Okay.
It's a great part of the story. It's fascinating. And so in the comic, like, his son, his own created son, ends up like turning against him because because he thinks that Gore has become compromised. He thinks Gore is becoming too much like a god, right? And Gore's thing is, hey, kill all the gods. And then Gore's son is like, pretty sure you're becoming one. I'm against you now. So he like weirdly like carries on his father's mantle to kill the gods, but now he's seeing his father as a god. It's super bizarre.
That's nuts.
Super bizarre. So he has kids, but since they're not real, none of them live. None of them have any future at the end of the story. Gore dies, they die.
And this kid is overpowered.
Oh my.
Overpowered. We have no idea what she can do. Way OP. Eternity. The
Purple
power
lasers.
of eternity.
Purple lasers out of the eyeballs.
What is the power of eternity?
I don't know.
It's
That's what even the purple lasers. They didn't even go through the stove. That first of all, like the pan. You guys were talking about.
Yep.
What's his name in the Wolverine or the X-Men?
Cyclops.
Yeah, his is like concussive or whatever.
Right.
I'm like, she
Right.
doesn't even go through a pan. Like, she's clearly not there yet. Like,
Grow up.
yeah,
Do
right.
something impressive.
Right.
Put some laser beams through the drywall.
Yeah.
I think that's it for me. I think the ending was just
Pretty tough.
So bad.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know what to make of the ending, I guess. I'm disappointed that Gore is dead. I think they very easily could have left him alive. And he's such an outstanding character and powerful villain that would have been my preference. Like, you don't need to kill the guy, right? You can throw millions of bucks at Christian Bale and he'll come back and be weird. Like, he's weird in just about everything he's in. He's just a weird dude, but he's great at it. And so I don't think that he has to be a one and done here. So I wish that they would have at least left that door open.
Yeah.
Right? So I was disappointed by that. I don't know what to make, I guess, of Thor is now a dad with Gore's daughter, or it's eternity. I don't know. I don't even know how I feel about that dynamic. Like, do I want Thor running around with a kid? I don't know.
That's easy. No.
I don't know.
No.
Riley says no.
No.
I don't know. I kind of liked the ending. I'll be honest.
Yeah?
I
Love
kind of
it.
did.
Love it.
Because it was like...
This is why we have these guest picks.
Right.
Let's go.
Soul, you're gone.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Keep rolling. Love
Yeah,
it.
my initial thought was like, I thought it was cool how basically like it goes through even in the beginning of the movie, like Thor's had everything taken away from him. His dad,
Good
his
call.
brother, like 3 times.
Yep.
Like basically his throne, everything's been taken away from him. And then he loses like the love of his life. And each time that something's been like taken away from him until Jane, he's like responded in like anger and vengeance and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And this time he's finally like, okay, I'll take this person that essentially killed like this girl, and I'll take his daughter and take care of her. And so I think like from a character development standpoint,
I like this take.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool, like, we actually see Thor kind of at peace with like this, and this is what she wanted. And then also the fact that he ends up back with Mjolnir is amazing. Like, I love that even in the last scene, like seeing him back with the hammer, I'm like, this is everything I've wanted.
I love that.
Yeah. So I actually enjoyed the ending.
That's a great take.
I don't know what they're going to do, nor do I know, like, she's definitely going to be overpowered 100%. Like, that's just how they do it. But that's also
she can wield Stormbreaker, so she's got
Yeah.
that going for her.
And like I don't want another like Captain Marvel situation though, where she's
Sure.
like way too overpowered and
Sure.
it doesn't quite make sense.
Yep.
But then there's another thing that I griped with that I was like trying to figure out during the movie. I'm like, I talked to Riley a little bit about this, but where did the tent come from in the Shadow Realm? That they were just like somehow appeared in this like tent. And it was like very small, like you could see the whole planet.
No, it
when
made
the
no
goats
sense.
ran
All of a
into
sudden
it.
they were in a tent. Like they were not, and then
Yeah.
they were. It was
No.
just a...
It just
What?
appeared.
What?
Yeah.
What?
And even like the little thing I noticed this in my first showing. I don't know if anyone else noticed this, but the continuity of the Bifrost, like he locked the Stormbreaker in.
Yep.
And then it was like the Bifrost was very like small, and then all of a sudden it was like almost filled up, and then it was back to small, like just back and forth.
Ooh.
And that's just like the little things. Like
Ooh,
you guys
good
had
pick on your
a
part.
giant budget.
Yep.
And you like it's
Yeah.
not that hard. Like that's
Right.
clearly all effects. Like you
Right.
don't have to. So
Yeah, and it's just
do
the
it.
editing piece, right? After you've got all the footage and you're trying to whittle it down to what you want the movie to be, it's like,
Yeah.
shouldn't somebody that's getting paid that money
Right.
pick that one out?
Yeah.
Or even like, here's what's crazy to me, okay? Fans like you, like us, we can find things like that. Pull a random fan in and be like, here's the deal. You can't say anything about what you're about to see, okay? But we need you to watch it, have your head explode, and then watch it again and let us know if you're going, you know, any little things like that, right? You don't have to pay that fan very much. It's like, frankly, it's just the privilege of, I would do it for free. If they're like, hey, you get to watch the Thor movie, you get to be a part of the process. Okay, I'm in.
Right.
Like that's payment enough, right? Point of that, I know that's not a realistic ask, but the point of that is, if the folks getting paid the hundreds of thousands and the millions of dollars to do this professionally, how are you missing that? That's again, it comes back to that. This just feels half baked in some spots, and I have a hard time with that. That's
100%.
tough.
Yeah.
That's really tough. Like get tight on the details, because I think that's what when Marvel has been excellent. That's what it's done so well. It's been so dialed in with those details.
And even like little things they tie
Yes.
in, like the first Avengers movie to like Endgame. Like there's tie-ins. It's like an 8-year difference,
Right?
or whatever, and it's
Right?
like, they do so well with little things. It's like
Yep.
you can't miss after you set such a high standard for yourself.
Correct. And I even think of, like in the TV shows, like WandaVision, and I know we have different perspectives on WandaVision for how much we enjoyed it, but there were some really quality tie-ins in the continuity with WandaVision from the movies that was really strong, and then that fleshed out that character so well, right?
Yeah.
I just don't feel like Thor had a chance to grow much until hearing what you said about the end. It's like, all right, I like that. Kind of coming full circle.
Yeah.
With his searching. I think part of what I was having a hard time getting past is I was really expecting, here we come, expectations. I was expecting Gore to bring Thor to this point of unworthiness, right? Where he's just brought fairly low. But then I thought, well, maybe they just did that in Endgame, and they're trying to look at this solo movie and say, can we really do that again? We're bringing Thor down only to bring him back up.
And even in
maybe
the first Thor movie started like that too.
Yes,
which is,
you're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
where he couldn't lift up the hammer anymore.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that well has been dipped into a few too many times. Yeah.
I will say one more gripe that I have is that, okay, they said, because the Guardians left to go handle all the other places where gods died, right? Okay. Guys, you couldn't let us see him kill at least 4 of them?
We really needed to. You need to show Gore just laying gods to waste.
One head rolled. I mean, that happened at least, but let him kill a bunch of people. Can you imagine that long god? He just shreds through him in like a minute.
I would have, again, I don't enjoy the violence, but I would have enjoyed seeing just the sheer power of that character on display. That would have been outstanding.
It would have been fantastic because it would have established his dominance, how powerful this guy actually is.
Right? Or show him cutting off Sif's arm. Like if that's
Right.
the thing. She's in the movie. Like you've got Jamie Alexander in the movie. somehow. It's like she's
Which good pull.
She's just
I'm
making
glad she's
cameos
back.
left and right, like in the Loki show.
Right.
Now in this movie, it's like, good grief, if she's willing, she's gonna lose the arm. Show it.
Yeah.
Right.
Show it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it adds depth, and it adds like, oh, this guy is capable of killing anyone here, and anyone could die at any point in time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we didn't get it.
What'd you think of Gore's origin?
Actually, I loved it.
So did I.
I felt like I was like,
So did I.
This is almost right out of the comic.
Yes.
This is perfect.
It was really strong.
Yeah, the one line when he's like, "This is my vow, all gods will die," and I'm like, "Holy crap!"
Right?
It set the tone, and
Right?
and then you're back with Thor, obviously, like, in the Muppets. So
Yeah, talk about a tone reversal. That is the
Right.
quickest tone reversal, because I saw that and I'm like, this movie is about to be epic.
Right. No, my expectations, which were high, just went that much higher.
Yeah,
It's like,
right.
oh, they're showing Gore's origin right at the beginning. Great.
Yeah.
And I thought they crushed it. Like the arrogance of his planet's god to just be totally dismissive of Gore's plight. And Gore's like, oh, you're dead. It's like,
Right.
that was awesome. That was so awesome. They couldn't have done that any better. Ah, man, just I wish it would have kept that level moving
Yeah.
forward.
I wish they would have killed somebody like
Yes.
throughout the movie. Like
Yes.
they had so many like teases where it's like, oh, Korg died. It's like, oh, Zeus died. Valkyrie got stabbed in the back. Gore got stabbed in the back. It's like nobody's gonna die until the exact like the very end. And it's like,
Yep.
because that was the reason
Yep.
that like Thor killed Zeus, which is a whole different story, obviously.
There you go.
But it's
Yep.
just like I
Another
just want
question we
there
have
to
to
be,
ask.
Yeah, some sort of death. You know, like it just
Yeah.
seems like that could have been a tone switch that they missed the opportunity on.
No doubt, there was no real gravity. Like it was there for a brief second when Korg gets disintegrated by Zeus.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's unexpected and really grim because it's been so goofy up to that point. Like we just saw a freaking dumpling god, which was the low
Yeah.
point for me. But Korg gets toasted by Zeus, and at that point, I'm like, oh
Yeah.
boy, okay, this is when it gets serious. And then 30 seconds later, nope, his face
Right, it's
His
still
face
there.
is still alive.
Yeah.
How? I don't know.
It was still pretty epic though when he grabbed the lightning bolt and slung it right back. Like that was nuts.
That was well done.
That was awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, because we definitely did not call it here that it would have been Thor killing Zeus.
Jeez.
We did not call that one. So, but
Well, the movie saved you at the end then for not calling that
right,
one.
but should we,
I was calling Gore killing Zeus all the way.
Same.
I was putting high dollars on that bet.
I called it in the chest.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to be with his own lightning bolt in the front by Thor. But should we talk about the end credit scenes?
Let's do.
I think it's that time.
Because to kind of go off what Saul is saying, there's no gravity with the deaths, and now Zeus is alive. Which, on the one hand, I enjoy the Russell Crowe Zeus, right? And kind of like with Valkyrie, I don't want her to die. Like, I don't want her to get killed by Gore. But you're absolutely right. Someone should have been killed. Someone should have died. There needed to be some gravity. It was never there. So I don't know how I feel about the mechanics, so to speak, of Zeus being alive. Like, that doesn't feel possible. Like, if he can't get
Right.
killed by his own friggin' lightning bolt through his chest, okay? I don't know what the rules are anymore. Like, that's just outrageous. So there he is. He lives. And then Hercules shows up. How do we feel about this? It was not Henry Cavill.
I said you guys set my expectations way too high when you said Henry Cavill was probably going to be Hercules.
Said it was a guy I've never seen in my life. Never seen that guy in my life.
Yeah.
Apparently, he is in.
Ted Lasso.
Yes, there it
Yeah.
is.
Okay.
But apparently, Kevin Feige picked him himself for the role. So
So TBD.
I will say, Zeus and that premise, that scene actually is kind of badass. Where he's like, you know, these people have been making fun of the gods for too long. It's time we put them in their place. I was like, okay, this is badass. This sets the tone.
Sure,
Let's see
sure.
what they do with it. I don't have faith right now,
But you're down with that tone.
right,
Yeah.
right. So
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you
My-
think, Saul?
My worry is that they're just gonna drop it. I feel like Marvel and end credit scenes in movies that don't like do as well as they thought they were going to, they just kind of drop it and move on.
Yep.
And similar with like Eternals, like are we ever gonna see Harry Styles again in an Eternals movie? Like,
Terrific question.
yeah. So it's just
Hopefully.
like in Adam Warlock. Is that in Guardians of the Galaxy?
Right.
Whatever.
Second
yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy movie. That's
Yeah.
been a while
And
since
so,
that
yeah,
was
we
teased.
haven't seen him. So it's like,
Right.
well, are you actually gonna bring this guy back? And what I've heard is like he's got a really strong fan base, but I'm like, I don't really care. Like I don't know you. I don't know what you've acted in. Like, just will be interesting.
Adam Warlock will be coming though. Guardians 3. That's confirmed with the casting. So we'll see how that goes. But I was actually more interested in the second end credit scene.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of potential with that. Bringing back Heimdall, Jane going to Valhalla.
Yep.
So, to me, anything's back on the table if they're bringing Valhalla into this. They can bring back original timeline Loki.
Sure.
If they really wanted to.
Sure.
Like, there's just... I don't know what they would do, but they have that potential to be like, okay, all these people from Thor died. We can kind of handpick who we want to bring back and involve. Mm-hmm. And maybe give them a last hurrah or whatever they want to do. I don't know, but...
Yeah, there's a couple ways they can go with it, and there's two particular ways that I think that second end credit scene can be received or interpreted, right? The first would be the way that you're saying, which is, hey, everybody could come back or is coming back. Or it could just be, hey, they're just showing us this is where Jane Foster ended up, like kind of a happy ending, so to speak, for her character. She's in Valhalla. She didn't just die and go into the ether, right?
Right.
She's in a better place. And I would prefer that. Like, my least favorite thing about comics is that no one stays dead. And so, like we were just talking about in this individual movie, okay, Valkyrie's not actually going to die, you guys. Korg's not actually dead. Zeus is not actually dead. That's such a comics thing to, like, kill people and then in a very short amount of time later bring them back. Right. It's like, I don't want them to do that with Iron Man. Right? Like what they did with that character throughout those movies and the finale that he had in Endgame, don't touch that. Like, don't mess with that. So I really hope they're not going to use it as an avenue to bring certain individuals back.
Yeah.
And I don't think they need to. But that's where I'm at.
I would say I thought it was similar to you, where it's like I just think they did it so the audience could be at peace with Jane having fought cancer and then dying, which I think was kind of their goal with the whole movie. Is like, there's probably 10% of the people that see that movie are like go as hard and like care as much as we do. And so it's like, the people that aren't like really big Marvel fans or like just want to see a good movie, like they probably walked out of this like that was a really good, funny movie. Right. Like they got told in the beginning everything they knew about Thor. Yep. It's like that just kind of what it seemed like their goal was, like please the average movie viewer. And I think the end credit scene was a way to be like, well, she got what she deserved.
Yeah,
like she fought cancer. Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I hope they follow up with that tone of Zeus and Hercules. Like I'm all for that. Like let's go. Let's drop another big dude with some serious pop into the mix. Yeah. I think that's absolutely great. I do wish. I think my last complaint or beef is like stop killing off these freaking Thor villains. Like Malekith should be a great villain. I don't like the direction they went with him in Dark World, but you don't need to kill that guy off. You don't need to kill Gore off. Like Hela, you don't need to kill Hela off. Like let the villains, let them hang around. What are we doing killing them off so quickly? Yeah. I don't know.
That's always been my beef with Marvel movies. I feel like there's so many villains that they just kill off, and it's like leave them on the table. Like Vulture being still around was like awesome. I mean, have they done anything with it yet? No, they just brought him over to Morbius. But that's a whole other thing. But my point is, the ones that do stick around, it's kind of nice. Like we're finally getting Abomination back. Like you didn't take him off the table, thank God. He's a cool brawler along with Hulk. Like who else is Hulk gonna mano-y-mano? So it's they struggle with that. I wish they would keep some on the board.
Yeah, cool. All right, anything else we want to hit on with Thor?
I think that's it for me, anyways.
Here's my last question with Thor. Do we want to see another Thor solo movie down the road?
I will always say yes to that question.
Great answer.
Yeah.
Great answer.
Yes, but like I said, I almost want a different director. I just
think there needs to be some balance, right? I think Taika's a good fit. I think he's a creative guy. Yeah. Somewhere along the line, and I think this happens sometimes, like a director unexpectedly, at least to our outside perspective, kind of crushes it. And so then the individuals above him pulled back a little too far on some of the reins. Like pull some of the boundaries, like kind of widen the boundaries and go, okay, well you can play in a little bit of a bigger playground here. And I think they went too far there. Like, because I think Taika's just a naturally very goofy dude.
Right.
And that's fine. That can fit really well with Thor. But I just think those boundaries need to be a little bit tighter where it's like, hey, we got to stay in this lane. Like, we don't need a freaking dumpling god. It's like, that's too far. Like, when that happens, like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, we're not watching Adult Swim. Like, this is not a cartoon. Like, can it please stay in the lane? That's where it felt like it went into a ditch briefly. So I'm okay with Taika. I'm not quite off the Taika. I just want to see him corralled a little bit.
Yeah.
James Gunn, I think, is really similar with the Guardians movies. Like, he's another just unique character where he needs some boundaries. Where it's like, yeah, it's a little too weird there, Jim. That's a bit odd. We're gonna pull that one back a bit.
I don't know. I've said this before on the podcast too. For Thor, I just always kind of wanted that character to be the Lord of the Rings-esque part of Marvel. Like, I kind of want that Peter Jackson-esque director where it's like, okay, this is going to be an epic.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like Lord of the Rings obviously has its funny moments, but it also has its serious, like it's serious when it needs to be serious.
Yeah.
I think they're worried about movies 1 and 2 kind of repeating themselves because those were not great movies, and I think they're oversteering by.
Yep.
And everyone loved Taika, so like, oh, let's just give everything to Taika.
Exactly.
But that was, I don't think, the best move.
Yeah.
There needs to be a middle between those.
Yeah. So they've still got a lot of, I think, quality pieces to work with moving forward. And listen, as long as Chris is willing to keep picking Mjolnir up, I'll keep seeing the movies. This one isn't ever going to be one of my favorites, but I am looking forward to watching it again, just with a more realistic set of expectations. I think I'll enjoy it. And I kind of had to like chastise myself because I've said on this podcast, like, hey, you should not expect the movies to match the comics, nor should you want them to be that. And yet here I am, like, the heck, like, this isn't how Gore's supposed to be. Total hypocrite. So I have to look at myself in the mirror and be like, hey, I need to let these authors or directors of these movies do their own take, right? I need to be willing to detach from the books. And I think if I do that, so this is a good opportunity for me to grow, good lesson for me. I think I can enjoy some of these movies more going forward, not expecting them to be just like the comics, because they never have been, really. Like Civil War, the movie, very different from Civil War, the comic. Very different. We go all through the line. Like, there's threads of like there's enough similarities of who the characters are, but as far as how the stories play out, the stories are so different in the comics than they are in the movies, and that's great. Like, really, a one-for-one adaptation of the comic book, that loses its interest pretty quick because now you're not really being surprised. So I need to open myself up a little bit there.
The only thing I ask for the next Thor movie is I want to be scared of Thor again. Like, when Thor comes on, I want to be like, oh, shit's going down now, right?
Yeah.
Because
Here comes the big guy.
that was the Hulk for a little while in Avengers, and now that's gone. But Thor was still up there, where it's like, oh, they're dropping in Thor.
Yep.
Like, that's all I ask.
End of Infinity War when he comes in. He's
Yes.
like, oh, you guys are dead.
Yes.
Right.
That
Was
was
an
awesome.
epic
That was great.
entrance. I'm like, oh, it's
100%.
about to go down.
Yeah. Or even the tail end of Ragnarok, right?
Yeah, when he figures
where
it out.
Odin, like, somehow from the depths gives him the little pep talk of, are you the god of hammers?
Yeah.
He's like, nope, god of thunder. And there's that awesome shot of him jumping in the undead army with the lightning. Like, that's great.
That was sweet.
That's great.
And we just
So that's a good call.
We didn't have that in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we can get back there. I don't think it's a lost cause. I think this was in some ways a swing and a miss, but I think there's enough quality here. We can get back to it. They're all right. Okay. Hey, good Thor talk. Way to go. So are you going to see it a fourth time?
I probably will. I'm not
Yes!
gonna lie.
Do
My
it.
expectations are
Do it.
different now, and now I'm more understanding. And
I
so
love
I
it.
feel like I'll enjoy it the fourth time.
Yeah.
More than I did.
I love it.
The first, second, and third time.
I love your persistency. Admire you for that. That's fantastic.
I'll see it as many times as it takes for it to be a 9.
Eighth time, you're like,
Yeah.
guys, it was great.
It was great.
Ninth time.
This was the one.
You just have to watch this movie 12 times. And
Yeah.
the 12th time, it's not bad.
That's outstanding. All right, good Thor talk. Let's transition into another top 5 topic. So today's top 5 topic are top 5 character portrayals in the movies that we believe, hey, this can't be topped, right? Now, doesn't mean that it cannot, it's sacred, it shouldn't be touched, right? We're going to, this is just the nature of these movies, we're going to see multiple versions of these characters show up, and that's okay. But what we're saying is, it doesn't matter who you're bringing in next, what's been done can't be bested in terms of how this character has been portrayed. So any other context you guys want to throw in there? Or does that feel good to you?
As usual, and by usual, by the one other time we've done this,
We're 2 for 2.
5 to 1, right?
Yep.
Okay. Do
Yep.
you want to go same order every time? Or do you want to go...
Absolutely.
Boom. Okay. So...
Actually, no, I'm going to change my answer immediately. Saul's going to go first. You're going to go second. I'm going to go third, but then I'm going to go immediately after.
So we're going to go boom,
Kind of
boom.
snake it. Yep.
Okay, so I will always be in the middle. I like that.
Always in the middle.
So why don't you kick us off?
So we're going our last.
We're going
Yep.
5 to 1.
Okay.
Because we want to build up the suspense for number 1.
Okay. I
Love
didn't organize mine, but I'm gonna go off.
That's
of
okay.
What I'm
Mine,
seeing.
Go off
mine
the
is,
cuff.
Yeah, okay, that works.
That's
yes.
great.
Okay. Patrick Stewart's Charles Xavier.
It's excellent.
Okay.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
Why don't you think that one can be topped?
Well, I guess we don't really know anything different, so that's fair. But it's like my thought process was like, if I don't really want to see another person like that, that's probably a sign that they're on that one. It's like
Yeah.
if I saw some other old man trying
Right.
to be
In the wheelchair.
right Charles Xavier, I'd be like, this just doesn't feel right, and
Right.
that was kind of my thought process. I think the guy that played the younger Charles
Yep.
Xavier did really well.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
I
let's see,
mean,
who was that? James McAvoy? Is that
Yep.
right?
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I thought he did really well, but I think I don't know that I really want to see another person in the wheelchair.
Do the old.
other than-
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost synonymous, too. Like, when you think of Professor X, you think of Patrick Stewart.
He could not look more like
No,
Professor
it's like
Xavier.
a perfect casting.
It's absurd.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's great.
I love that. All right, Riles.
Okay. Now I'm going to get a little specific, but I have Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker. Not Spider-Man, Peter Parker. Specifically Peter
I like
Parker.
that.
I don't think anyone can nail, like, the perfect awkwardness of Peter Parker like Tobey can. Like, he's that geek, but, you know,
Yeah.
he still gets the ladies. And just the entire process of his mind of going between responsibility and having to balance that mantle of being Spider-Man and the sacrifices that has to take throughout that entire thing and just his journey
Yeah.
as a character.
Yeah.
I honestly, Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker is. I don't think we haven't had a better Peter Parker yet. So that's my number 5.
That's a great pick. That's great. None of the Spider-Men even came up in my mind, but I love that pull on your part, and I love how precise it is with Peter Parker in particular. I don't disagree with that at all. My number 5 is also Professor Xavier, old Patty Stewart.
Come
Yeah,
on.
let's go. I totally agree. I think when someone says Professor Xavier, that is who I picture in my mind. And that's just, at some point, perhaps soon, right? Marvel's going to start sprinkling in the mutants, so we'll get some X-Men characters. So we'll get a version of Professor Xavier. But that's just going to be so impossible to do better than what Patrick Stewart brought. And over a pretty impressive stretch of time, too. Like, he was great in the original X-Men movies. They put him in Days of Future Past. He's still bringing it. He's in Logan, and he's a very, broken version of his character.
Yeah.
But somehow he still, has that potency where you still believe, this dude has an unbelievable, powerful mind
Right.
and
And
set
even
of
the
abilities.
Multiverse of Madness, too.
Oh, that's
yeah.
right. Yeah, that was gold. So love that. Love that choice. All right. My number 4, Captain America. I think what Chris Evans has done is pretty dang good. I'm sure there could be someone a while from now that tries to do one better, but I just see Chris Evans and it's kind of the same Professor Xavier thing. It's like, that's freaking Captain America right there. Can't get it out of my mind. And I think it's difficult to play that character and have him not just be a cheesy turd where it's like, come on, you can't possibly believe what you just said. No one's that pure, right? Like, no one really means that. But he was able to do it in a really genuine way. And then as the character progressed in those movies, the depth that was added there it just felt like he was conflicted more often than not. It didn't feel like a departure. Like, we didn't get like a dark Captain America. We got a Captain America that maybe thought a little bit more about what he was doing. I thought that was pretty cool. So that's my number 4.
Okay. So my number 4 pick, is my only non-superhero pick.
Ooh.
And it's a pop culture pick.
Ooh.
And it's Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Wow.
No one
Good pull.
will
That
ever be Obi-Wan Kenobi again. Not in this lifetime. Not in any other lifetime. Never.
No multiverses.
Nope, nothing. It's Ewan. It's Ewan and Obi-Wan. He refreshed and brought a history to an already established character, made it better. He was the entire highlight of the prequels. He made the prequels happen, ladies and gentlemen. And then to show his depth in the show and come back and kill it like he did. He's Obi-Wan Kenobi till the day I die. Nobody's beating him. Nobody's beating him.
Love it.
And that's number 4, guys.
Love it.
He should have been higher. Sometimes
That's
I think
okay.
he should have been higher.
You're
but
fine.
It's fine.
You're fine.
That's good.
My
You're
other
good.
3 picks are great.
Nah, you're upset with yourself. Damn it.
I would have never guessed that. Yeah, it was just out of the...
That's great.
Yeah.
Pulling it out.
Yeah.
All right, Saul, what do you got?
I think Tom Hiddleston's Loki would be my number
Ooh.
4. I thought
That's clutch.
he does a really good job, and it's one of those where it's like, I don't think anyone else can do it in the way
Yeah.
that he does. Like, he just has a goofy, like, creepy smile, and the way that he just goes back and forth, like, are you a protagonist or an antagonist? And just the relationship between him and Chris Hemsworth. I think no one can do it better than
Yeah.
he's done it. So that'd be my number 4.
I missed that in this Thor movie. Like, I missed the absence of Loki. I felt that.
Right.
It's like there didn't seem to be he's always been such a balance point for that Thor character, and maybe part of the imbalance was there's just no Loki, right? To bring him back a little bit.
I would say I feel like even like some sort of pep talk or some
Right?
sort of conversation with Loki would have been
Some kind of flashback,
right,
right?
like some little piece would have been awesome.
Yeah,
But
no
that's
question.
Number 4,
I love that pick.
and I'm going number 3 now. Too.
Do it.
Okay.
You are.
I'm assuming we all have this, but I'm not entirely sure. Heath Ledger's Joker.
Really good.
I didn't know
Really
if
good.
everyone
I don't
has
have that one on my list.
Oh, really?
No.
Riley
No,
looks
we'll
like
find
he
out.
might
We'll find
have
out with
that on
Riles.
his list.
We'll find out.
But that
I agree, though.
I'd
That's a
say-
great pick.
that's been done many times, and no one's done it as well as
No.
Heath Ledger, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So
Yeah, it's going to be done again.
It'll always be done again.
Multiple
Yeah,
times,
right.
but I can't even imagine how someone can do it better. I can imagine someone trying to do the same thing and doing it well to the point where it's like, hey, that's really good. But he was just so doggone, like, sinister. Oh,
Yeah. so
it's
good.
just perfect. Like
Yeah.
the scene where Batman is just beating the living daylights out of him, and he's laughing. He's like, you
Right.
have nothing to do with all your strength. Like,
Yeah.
that is such a great line and such a great just encapsulation of the character. He's not supposed to be the physical equal of Batman. He is supposed to be able to best Batman in spite of the
Yeah.
gap of physical ability.
Which
It's just
is-
incredible.
Yeah, and it's interesting because even like looking past that movie, I think they knew that no one was going to do as well. Because
Yes.
each of the Jokers after that have been like oh, we're gonna take a new take on Joker. Like we're not even gonna go this.
Not
same
even
route.
trying. Yeah.
Until the scene with this one now
Sure.
that's coming, where it seems like they're kind of gonna go a similar direction.
Yeah.
But
Who knows?
We'll see.
Who knows? Yeah. Love that pick. All right, Riles. Who's your third?
Number 3, I have Michael Fassbender as Magneto.
Ooh, that's
Him, just thinking about X-Men First Class and the way that Xavier and Eric's relationship was like built and like torn apart. Just you feel the oomph whenever he steps on screen. Like you're like, oh, he's gonna get shit done. This is what we missed in Thor. Okay, Magneto. When Michael Fassbender showed up, you're like, oh, and it comes from a place where it makes sense that he thinks the way that he thinks. Like you get to see the background with.
He's really well developed
Right.
in those movies.
It's beautifully
really
done.
well developed.
And just Michael Fassbender's a brilliant actor.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect casting choice. Yeah. It's a great pick. Love that. All right, staying in the X-Men theme. For me, it's Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Like, Wolverine's going to get reimagined at some point. And fortunately, I don't think it will be Hugh. I say fortunately just for his own sake. It's like, you've done your part. Like, go rest in Valhalla, right? Like, you're good, man. Go hang out with Heimdall and Jane Foster. He is so physically tenacious. Like, it's outrageous. It's outrageous how just powerful he is every time he's in one of those movies. And he's in some bad movies. Like, the X-Men Wolverine Origins movie is objectively a bad movie. He's great in that movie.
100%.
He's really good.
Yeah.
Like, I'll still watch it for him because his scenes are so dang good.
Yep.
And that's pretty unique, where you can be in a poor movie and still just be crushed. And it's like, this guy's awesome. He's fantastic. I still think my favorite Wolverine movie is probably X-Men 2. That's just, he has some phenomenal fight scenes in that movie where he's tearing through the soldiers that have busted into the mansion. That scene is fantastic. Just laying waste to them. So cool. There's a scene where like jumps from the balcony with the claws, takes guys down,
two guys.
and then sheathes them and puts the hands back down. It's like, all right, let's go. It's like,
Yeah.
just laid low. Just laid low. I can't. It's just incredible. Just incredible. So bless you, Hugh. You do you. You're incredible. My number 2 is old Bob Downey Jr. as Iron Man. I can't imagine anybody else as Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Like, I can't. Weirdly, like, the only other actor that comes to mind that could have a similar persona would be Sam Rockwell, who played, Hammer in the Iron Man 2 movie. Like, he's got a similar, like, personality where he's able to, like, speak pretty quickly, like, just quip. But Robert Downey Jr. is incredible as Tony Stark. Just absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
And so doggone good and so foundational to what the Marvel movies were that I want nothing other than him as Iron Man. And I hope they don't bring him back. Hope they just let it be. I don't think they could possibly do it better than what it's already been done. It's perfect. Perfect. That's my 2. Riles?
My number 2 is Heath Ledger's Joker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well done.
Him burning the money for the shit of it
Oh my
is
gosh.
so funny to me.
Yep.
So, yeah. Screw the government. I mean, we love you.
No taxes. No taxes.
So, but yeah, we already went into his greatness. So,
Yeah.
number 2.
Mine was also RDJ
Yes.
as Iron Man. I would have been excited to see Tom Cruise as like Supreme Iron Man and Multiverse. That was rumored, but
Right.
didn't happen, which was okay. But he'll never be anyone else in my mind. Like that's just how it is. Like they can take different takes on him. They can do whatever. Have a female Iron Man, which seems like that's probably going to happen.
Sure.
Kind of sure. We'll see. But anyways, my number 1, which I don't think you guys will have guessed.
Ooh.
J.K. Simmons, J. Jonah Jameson.
Come on.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
J. Jonah. You're not wrong.
That is
No,
not
not
a
wrong.
pick. Not a pick that I thought I'd hear tonight.
Wow.
So congrats
Oh,
to
I
you.
love
Great.
it. I love it. You
That's
can't do
great.
it better. He's never even. Yeah, it's amazing.
You're making me want to watch Spider-Man 2 and all of his scenes like right now. 'Cause
Oh my
he's
gosh.
so dang good.
He kills it. It's
He's
amazing.
so dang good.
No one can do it better than him.
Where he just
100%.
laughs and he's like, "Wait,
Yeah.
you're serious?"
Yes, it's like a meme. It's amazing.
There's so many memes.
Yeah, he just kills it in every movie. And he,
Oh.
I call him Dr. Octopus. And you know what? Call him Dr. Octopus. I came up with that myself.
It's so good.
That's outstanding. Love that pick.
Yeah.
Great number one that I didn't see coming either. That's great. All right, Riles.
Okay.
Number one.
Yeah. My number one pick is Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man.
Come on.
Hands down. This list, I was going through these lists, and there was very few people where I'm like, okay, they're going to get recast, and I'll probably be okay with that recasting. I think this is the only one where I'm like, besides maybe Ewan being replaced as Obi-Wan,
Mm-hmm.
if that ever happens, which it shouldn't. But if Robert, it just won't feel the same. Like, it does not matter. Like,
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. That was my childhood. The whole reason I got into, half the reason I got into Marvel the way I did. So, yes, Iron Man will never be, Robert Downey Jr. will never be topped. I don't
Can't
think
be beat.
ever.
No, can't be beat. Well, for me, it's Christian Bale's Batman, Bruce Wayne. And I don't say that to say, hey, don't give me more versions of Batman. I loved Robert Pattinson in the Batman movie. It was great. So part of this may just be nostalgia based, but Batman Begins came out in 2005, Dark Knight in 2008, and then Dark Knight Rises in 2012. So would have been late teens, early 20s for me. And that for me is always going to be the paradigm of who Bruce Wayne in particular is. There's going to be different versions of Batmans that I'm going to continue to enjoy, but Bale is so dang good as Bruce Wayne, as embodying the anguish that he continues to feel, but having the ability to put on not just the Batman mask, but the Bruce Wayne mask and pull that off with such impact and effect is great. I love the character development that took place for him in those three movies. That was outstanding from start to finish. That was so rich. And I really enjoyed the uniqueness of the take on the character in those three movies, where there was a genuine end to Batman, right? Like they're trying to be realistic as you can be with Batman in the real world. But they're saying, hey, if we're really going to lean that direction, this dude's not going to be Batman for 2-3 decades. He's going to do it for a relatively brief period of time. And this made a lot of sense to me when they did it too. It's like, he also has to win, right? Like, it can't be the typical recurring superheroes like, oh, another villain. Like, have either of you guys seen the Lego Batman movie? You still haven't, right?
It's amazing.
Have you seen?
Yes.
It's one of the best. It's so good.
So funny.
One of the funniest parts in that movie is when they've just named Barbara Gordon as the new mayor of Gotham City.
Yeah.
And she is telling all the citizens of Gotham, listen, we need to not need Batman. And she's recapping the last decades of how Batman hasn't actually made anything better because all these villains
Right, just
keep coming up.
to Gotham,
And so
yeah.
she's running through the list of all these villains that keep escaping from prison and Batman has to put back in prison.
Yeah.
And there's this background voice of a character that goes, oh, she's making a lot of sense. It's okay, there's a genuine absurdity to, wait a minute, if Batman is effective, why isn't he actually making progress? So I liked, to bring it all back to where I'm going with this portrayal of Batman, I like that there is this, hey, there's a genuine win here, right? He gets to the end, he's beaten the villains, and Gotham City is better off for it. It's not just and now the next villain and the next villain. I thought that was a pretty cool, bold take, because that's certainly not where we're leaning now in the Marvel movies, where it's everybody's alive all the time. So I love that. So there you go. There's my number one. Fellas, that's a really hearty pod. And apparently I've got children crying, so that might be my cue to vamos.
I feel like I have to address real quick. I did not have Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool on there. I feel like I
know.
should have.
I
feel like I
know.
should have.
Wow.
You know what? I completely forgot. I'm gonna be completely honest. And then we got to, I got to number 3, and I'm like,
Ryan.
what am I doing? So
Listen,
He's
in
your
your
celebrity
defense-
that you're gonna hang out with, too.
Right. In your
I
defense,
snubbed him twice.
your picks were great. Your picks were
Right.
still great.
But I think we just need more. Okay,
Yeah.
that's gonna be my excuse.
Yeah,
we
you want
need
more.
more.
Yeah.
We've only had 2 movies. I love you, Ryan. Please don't hate me.
He
so
won't. He'll still hang out with you.
that's where we're at. We're wrapping it. I'm
We're wrapping
assuming?
it. Let's
Okay.
wrap it.
So on that note,
Thank you, Saul, for being here.
Yes, thank you, Saul.
Thanks for having me.
Wow.
This is great.
I hope
Incredible.
you had fun. Yes, and then we are on
All the
like I said,
medias.
yeah,
all
we
the social
are
medias.
streaming on everything. We're on YouTube, and we are on TikTok, Magic Beans Productions, and then yes, if you like hearing me, I have
would
Cloudy
you?
with a Chance of Beans. It's not the most appropriate, but I'm there. So, and that's where we'll end that.
Don't
so,
bring your kids.
on another note, Godspeed.
Peace.